Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to go through setting up a chatbot on Runpod using Claude Code. This framework is more about just writing code. It can also download packages, set up servers, and create testing notebooks for you. So in this video, we'll jump right into a pod with a PyTorch template with Claude Code already up and running. So if you need a how-to on that, I'll link to the prior video in the description. We'll then install vLLM using Claude Code, perform a test prompt on it to test its world knowledge. We'll then provide a knowledge base to it in the form of a public domain novel. We'll then have Claude Code set up RAG, and then run a RAG-assisted prompt in vLLM. One of the most challenging things about demonstrating Claude Code, however, is that it is not deterministic. You may get better or worse results than I did in this video, and it will definitely be different in some way. If you feel yourself getting stuck, then switching the model to Opus, even for just a prompt or two, can help because it basically gives a fresh set of eyes. I've added the prompts that I used in both a dry run and when filming in this slide for reference. Okay, we've set up our pod and installed Claude Code. If you need any help on how to do this, I'll put a link down to our previous video in the description, and we'll walk you through setting up both Claude and Git in a pod so you can begin developing right away. I'm also going to demonstrate this with Sonnet just to provide a level of standardization for the purposes of the tutorial. You're totally free to bring your own model, but you may need to adjust your process down to meet the capabilities of that model. And I know that I could have used a template for this, but I'm actually wanting to demonstrate that you can also use Claude Code to install packages for you. Like you can just ask it, hey, please install vLLM and all dependencies. It will do that. And now that it's mostly finished doing that, it's going to ask us to verify. And I will hit yes. And I know this is something we could have used a template system for, but if you just need that one extra package, using Claude Code to install it as opposed to going to the GitHub and running the install scripts is also totally an option. So Claude Code set up a vLLM server for us, and in the course of that, it actually corrected an issue with a missing package that got missed during the initial install run. So the nice thing about installing packages this way is that it can actually correct things that got missed on the fly, which is great for reducing friction that sometimes comes along when you're installing packages. And lastly, we are going to ask it for a basic script that we can run from within Jupyter Notebook just so we can troubleshoot things easier. So we'll say, give us a basic script that we can run from within Jupyter. And it put together this nice and neat Jupyter notebook for us so we can just test it without relying on curl commands. So we'll run the first cell and it says it's ready. And then we'll run the second one. And we got our fun fact about astronomy, so that definitely confirms that our environment is up and running. So technically our chatbot is already up and running. We stood up a server running Qwen3 That server is accepting internal requests. And because port 8000 is exposed, it can also accept requests from the internet. But that's definitely not the end of the video because we can do so much more with it. So the model that we use for this example is just an 8 billion parameter model, which is tiny compared to a big foundational model like Sonnet. It just doesn't have room for a lot of domain-specific knowledge, and to fix that, we're going to use Retrieval Augmented Generation. RAG is a technique that helps AI chatbots answer questions using your specific documents and data. You can think of it like giving the AI a reference library. When you ask a question, the system first searches through your documents to find the most relevant passages, then uses those passages to generate an accurate, grounded answer. This is different from relying solely on AI's built-in knowledge, which has a cutoff date and doesn't know anything about your company's internal documents, policies, or specialized information. The main benefit of RAG is that it dramatically reduces hallucinations, which are well-known instances where the model makes up plausible sounding but incorrect information. Instead of guessing, the model can point to specific sources in your documents and cite them. Plus, when your documents are updated, the chatbot's knowledge automatically updates too, so you don't need to retrain the AI model. So we're going back to our 8 billion parameter model here, Qwen3 and I'm going to use a public domain example to demonstrate this. But I asked it, what happens in chapter 3 of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein? And it goes through its thinking spiel, and then it makes some pretty bold claims about Victor assembling the creature's body. You know, he's thinking about the ethical implications of creating the creature. But that is a big fat lie, because if we go to chapter 3 of the actual book, obviously I'm not going to read the whole book for you, but suffice it to say that if you scroll through chapter 3, he hasn't even thought about making a monster yet. Like, that doesn't even happen until chapter 4. Like, so it's just making up stuff about what happened in chapter 3. So if I were an English teacher, I would have to give this paper an F. So we'll prepare for this by creating a folder called KB, knowledge base. And we'll go in and grab the book, and we'll just drop it in. Text. And then save it there. And then we'll tell Claude Code about our knowledge base. We have a knowledge base of literature set up at workspace KB. We need to set up RAG and vLLM. Look at this folder for all future queries. So it'll need to install some dependencies to get RAG up and running. And let's just make sure that Jupyter Notebook is set up to use this as well. And it's funny because it actually read my mind. I wasn't even thinking about it, but it said it's also suggesting that we create a comparison notebook to show the difference between RAG and non-RAG queries. I was going to do it manually, but it kind of just read my mind there. And we'll ask it the same question. See if it gives us a better response. So it looks like we ran into an issue. It definitely is finding the file that we put out there because it's referencing Project Gutenberg specifically, and that's in the document. But it's claiming that chapter 3 is not in the document, even though there are some earlier excerpts from the book. So the issue that it ran into was that it made some assumptions about how the data was to be chunked in the vector storage. And it decided to originally do it by word count because all we did was give it a plain text file. And that posed a problem because the information that we were looking for didn't actually lie neatly between the chunking boundaries. So whenever you have an issue like this, it's always a good idea to kind of ask, how should I have originally provided the data so that this didn't happen? And it gave us some really good advice for this because you're going to organize the data a little more logically than I did, where I just kind of grabbed the whole file and just dumped into a plain text file. And while RAG can work, it's not a great way of doing it. I mean, it was a great way to demonstrate it for the sake of expediency. But when you're actually organizing data into a knowledge base for RAG, you'll want to divide it up a little more carefully than I did in my example. So the script that it provided split up every chapter into its own text file, along with the letters at the start of the book. So this should really help our RAG system find what it's looking for. And because the structure of our database just completely changed, we'll also want to re-index the knowledge base as well. So now that we've split up the book into individual text files and we re-indexed those new files, I reran a prompt and it gave us a much better answer. Everything in this paragraph is true. No more hallucinations about creating the monster in chapter 3. And instead goes into Victor's mother's dying, his travels, and a lecture that sparks his obsession with creating life. So everything looks good here. Thanks for watching the next video in a Claude Code series. Like I said, it's a challenge to demonstrate because you might not get the same results I did, even with the same exact prompts. But if things go wrong, just show it the error message you're getting and what you want the desired behavior to be. And it can never hurt to switch to a different model for a few prompts if you feel you aren't getting headway. It's better to try to blast through a blocker with one Opus prompts, rather than try 10 Sonnet prompts and get nowhere. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.